Hello everyone, I'm tribalkai and welcome to the EDH channel. This video is brought to you with thanks from NoGuff88. If you'd like to support the channel as well, then you can visit Patreon and donate with the link in the description below. Failing that, a like, comment and subscribe is always appreciated. Now, let's have a look at everyone's opening hands. The first spell of the game, Font of Fertility, coming from Golos. And alright, Guardian Project is a nice card draw as well. We can just go for the Infiltration Lens, I think. Don't think anyone's going to be pointing removal at that, and if they do, then it's not going on the Guardian Project at least. Stoneforge Mystic from Jorkadeen. Then Gogo sacrificing the Font of Fertility. So looking for a basic and putting it into play tapped. And then it's round to our turn. We get a Mind Stone. Do we want to ramp, or do we want to get down the Ambush Viper? I think we need to get poison damage onto our opponents as soon as possible, so I'm just going to go for the Ambush Viper in with Flash. And hopefully players don't play around the fact that we've got a Flash Death Toucher. Lightning Greaves from the Snow player. And I've said it before in these games, we've seen Jorkadeen from Bootleg Greedo a few times in the past few weeks, and every single time we see Denetha. Very good card from Bootleg Greedo and Jorkadeen. Didn't see what Stoneforge Mystic shooted for actually, they went for Mask of Memory. And then it is 1 damage onto Gogo. And it was just Myriad Landscape from Golos, so let's go for the Ambush Viper. At the end of the turn we can swing in with it. Alright, Wild Growth, so we're getting into the ramp, which is nice. Let's continue to make lands. Now we do need our commander in play, so let's go for Wild Growth. We can actually ramp and get our commander into play here, which is really good. So we'll get the Fynn into play, and just to try and resist it being removed, we'll go in at Billy Kills here. Gogo is holding up priority over there, but allowing Billy Kills to be hit for a couple of poison counters. Yorn, God of Winter for the Sultai player, and Lightning Greaves goes on there straight away so they can swing in and untap all of their lands. Going in at Bootleg Greedo, who has first strike here, but that won't allow him to defend himself against the Yorn. Now Arkham's Astrolabe into the north, search for a Snowland, put it into play tapped. Not going for a dual land or anything, I think that was just a snow-covered forest. Now Sword of the Animus for the equipment player, and that goes straight onto Denetha, who can swing in as much as she likes with that because it has Vigilance and First Strike. And they swing in towards Billy Kills here, ramping a little bit, and then just a Blighted Woodland from Gogo. I dare say cracks that first because it costs more. Anyway, round to our turn, and we get a land. And then we'll go for the Infiltration Lens onto the Ambush Viper because that can go in at Billy Kills, Fynn can go in at Gogo, and we'll just hope that there's no removal put onto our commander, although we can recast it this turn. Both of those get through, so it is a further 2 onto Billy Kills and 2 onto Gogo. So let's just go for the Guardian Project, and when we start getting into Death Touches hopefully, we can be drawing lots of cards with that. Now a Hailstorm Valkyrie, Flying and Trample, and it can be buffed for a couple of snow mana. Not putting haste on that, so yeah, what you can do with this is swing in with it. The Yorn will untap all of your snow mana, and then you can buff this with all the snow mana you just generated, but deciding to just go in with Yawn at us. As you would expect, we are threatening poison winds here. So untapping all the lands, hitting us for 3 commander damage. Boros Cluestone for the Boros player. And then that Mask of Memory that was tutored for comes into play. And that one goes on to the Stoneforge Mystic. So the Stoneforge goes in at go-go, and we get a hit for 3 from Denetha. So the Mask of Memory triggers, they draw 2 and discard 1. Yeah, and at the end of the turn, the Blighted Woodland is the one that's been sacrificed by Gogo. And there is our old buddy, old pal, Golos, Tireless Pilgrim. Do you think if I did a video on how much I am disdainful for Golos, that it would get 10 million thumbs down and a billion views? Oh, yeah, and then, yeah, Field of the Dead. This is coming from a Lands Matter player, by the way. I am a Lands Matter aficionado. I love Lands Matter decks. That is my favourite archetype, and I'm sick of Golos and Field of the Dead, so yeah, that's saying something. What do we all think of it? Are we tired of it yet, or do we still enjoy a good Golos Tireless Pilgrim Lands Matter deck? Alright, we get into Venom Sliver, so we'll play that out straight away to draw a card, because we've got absolutely nothing going on at the moment. So Guardian Project will trigger and draw us a card. Wormcoil Engine, that's nice. We're 1 mana away from doing that though, unfortunately. Yeah, I hate to keep going in at Billy Kills, but he's got the worst blockers. If he does block the Ambush Viper, then it'll trigger the Infiltration Lens, which of course is why it's in here, so yeah, I'm not really quite as bothered as losing the Ambush Viper as maybe I should be. So we'll go when it kills again, just because he's got the worst blockers. Okay, and deciding to block, I'm actually okay with that. So we will draw a couple of cards with the Infiltration Lens. Okay, Vigor and 3 Visits. That is not terrible, actually. That means that we can just turn things in sideways, no problem whatsoever. So I like seeing Vigor. So let's put the Infiltration Lens onto the Venom Sliver. And then hopefully we can get down Vigor and start threatening plus counters on things. Little deal going on for Billy Kills in order to generate what I'm assuming is going to be a bunch of mana for card draw. So he taps his lands in response to the Yawn and then untaps everything. And it is Graven Law. That is an underappreciated card in my opinion. Scry X, and X is the amount of snow spent to cast it. Then draw 3 cards. So it's Scry 5 and draw 3 at instant speed for 5 mana. And they swung in at Greedo. Greedo said that he wouldn't block. So Kill's now up to 8 cards and discarding a Haydar Rhymewind Master, Gilded Lotus from Greedo, and then a Sword of Fire and Ice, protection from red and blue, and it is Denetha that they equip with that. So they're probably going to get a shock here, and if they get a shock then it means that they can get rid of the Venom Sliver, which is probably what they go after. Open the Armory, tutoring for an equipment, and they decided to search up a Dark Steel Plate for next turn to give stuff indestructible. And swing it in towards Denetha in an attempt to get rid of the Golos, I would think. It's always a tricky one with Golos because they don't necessarily mind recasting their commander over and over again. And then the other creature goes in at Billy Kills. So I'm guessing that was part of the deal. You let me hit you, and I'll let you hit me. And yeah, trade in the Golos, so we are going to keep our Death Toucher, because they didn't manage to hit with the sword. Mask of Memory triggers, because that 2 will hit. Draw 2, discard 1. They discarded Return to Dust previously, by the way. I don't think I covered that. This time, discarding a Mountain. Yeah, going straight in for Golos, that's the risky run, so hopefully this isn't Vesuva onto Field of the Dead. Yep, there it is, Vesuva, so it is a Field of the Dead deck. So let's just crack the Windswept Heath in response, because I'm going to crack the Mind Stone at the end of the turn, and I'd rather not draw into a land. So that's 4 additional zombies have come into play now. Still 6 cards in hand over there. Let's go for sacrificing the Mind Stone and actually try and get into some stuff here. Well, there's a Mana Crypt. That replaced itself. and a Myriad Landscape, so yeah, I don't think we really need Mana Crypt at the moment. So we'll try and save ourselves a Lightning Bolt. So we'll drop down the Vigor. And I think we try and land. I'll see what we draw into first. I think we'll try and land some damage onto Greedo. Another land for us. So we're just playing in the Myriad Landscape tapped. And leaving it at that, I think. Let's see if they want to get rid of our Venom Sliver and give us some more card draw. So both of these going in at Greedo, and hopefully no one removes the Vigor. So allowing both of those through, which puts Greedo at 4 points of poison. And this is the problem. If we spread ourselves around too much, then we're going to make ourselves an enemy of all three players. But we have to get poison counters onto all three players for when we start to care about proliferate and things like that. Or we could just set up some kind of alpha swing towards the end of the game. A Scrying Sheet's coming into play. An Aurum Viper from Billy Kills. When it deals combat damage to a creature, destroy it at the end of combat, so it's like a slow, venomous death touch. And then when it deals combat damage to a player, you can draw a card. Lightning Greaves going on to that, and we are very difficult to swing into now, thanks to Vigor. So they untap all of their stuff when they swing in. Go-Go getting hit by the Commander, and we are getting the Snake in towards us. Then Scrying Sheet's being activated with the 2 mana that they just floated. And this is... it has to deal combat damage to the creature and destroy it at the end of combat, but Vigor prevents combat damage, I think. Whenever damage would be dealt to another creature you control, prevent it. Yeah, so this shouldn't destroy our creature here. Get a free plus counter on the Vigor. Oh, it's another creature you control. I had a feeling I was doing something wrong there. Don't often play with Vigor. It's another creature you control. Ugh, throwing it away for no reason. Well, it gets shuffled back in, so maybe we can draw into it later on. First time playing this deck in multiplayer, so you'll have to forgive a few mistakes like that, I'm afraid. Now, Wilderness Reclamation. At the beginning of your end step, untap all lands you control. So that Darksteel Plate coming onto the Denether, and then Inquisitor's Flail. If the equipped creature would deal damage, it deals double instead. If another creature would deal damage to it, it deals double damage. So Denether is going to be able to deal 10 damage to someone here. And there is Jorkadeen, which comes down as an 8/4 with first strike. And Go-Go getting the respect that he deserves here with his Field of the Dead deck. Still got this to crack, don't forget, and a full grip of 7. When his turn begins, it'll be a full grip of 7, not to mention having Golos in play. We are getting hit for 4 with the Stoneforge Mystic. Golos going down again. This is the problem with that Commander. And again, it's draw 2, discard 1 from the mask. So it looks as though Go-Go is just going straight in for Golos again. And are we going to see maybe the one that combos with Dark Depths? I always forget the name of it. The theatre thing, whatever it's called. For a 3rd copy of Field of the Dead. Yeah, that's the one. Thespian Stage. Now we'll make it round to our turn without a Vigor, unfortunately. Just another land for us. Alright, let's go for the Mana Crypt, and we'll play this Worm Coil Engine, see if we can get into anything with that. Then there is E-Witness. Yeah, the Vigor shuffles itself, unfortunately, so we can't grab anything with that. And I think if we swing into Golos, they'll block with the Golos, wanting to replay it again. If we're not going to pacify the Golos and go for like Darksteel Mutation or something, then I think the only means of getting around it really is to make it so that it just costs too much to keep recasting. So maybe we offer up the trade with the Venom Sliver. And if they just want to chump with a zombie, that's fine too. Yep, just taking the poison damage, so like I said, that's alright. We'll go for Eternal Witness onto the Ambush Viper in that case, and we'll just have more death touches in play. We can also draw more cards with the Guardian Project. Just drew into another land, so yeah, not having the best of luck. We'll play the Ambush Viper at flash speed. Now, Scrying Sheet's being activated. We've seen a forest and a swamp from the Scrying Sheet so far. Now a Soul Ring coming into play. And Icebreaker Kraken. And they go in at us. Yeah, so we're pretty much skipping our next turn, I suppose. So we might have to hold off on the Ambush Viper. Anyway, no need for Yorn to swing in there because they just untap all their lands with the Wilderness Reclamation anyway. I'm passing it over to Bootleg Greedo. Skyclave Relic for Greedo. And that is kicked. Then a Hero of Bladehold, no haste thankfully. Now Gogo being swung in at with Jorkadeen. And the Denetha, Capuchin Paragon. That is pro blue and red, indestructible, first strike, vigilance and lifelink. Just chumping with some zombies there. Staying at 36 life, although Greedo jumps up to 75. Wayfarer's Bauble for Gogo, which obviously creates more landfall. So just continuing to sit behind his wall of zombies. So I'm not going to go for the Ambush Viper here. Oh, for some reason I did a total brain fart and thought that this was freezing my lands. Artifacts and creatures, alright. So I should have gone for the Ambush Viper. Wanted to hold up the 2 mana in case we got into like a Sylvan Library or something, but should have just gone for the Ambush Viper there. Alright, well, Great Henge. That at least allows us to draw another card with the Ambush Viper, so that's actually a happy accident, as our friend Bob Ross would say. So let's go for the Great Henge while we've got the Worm Coil Engine in play. Because I don't know if we're going to lose it in combat this turn. Yeah, I think if we put the Worm Coil Engine, or put Infiltration Lens onto the Worm Coil Engine, that'll make it difficult for our opponent to... Yeah, they either block it and give us cards, or they take 2 more. In fact, I've made sure to tell my opponents that they only get 2 poison counters, regardless of the power of a creature. So if we hit them here, they're not going to go up to 10, they're going to go up to 6. So I made sure my opponents know that. So let's go in towards Billy Kills in an attempt to draw some cards here. If it wasn't for all the zombie tokens, I would definitely be going in at Gogo, but I don't want to lose the Worm Coil Engine unless we can trade a big 8/8 for it. The zombie tokens are obviously easily replaceable. And then there's a load of first strike in the way over here. Alright, just decided to take it, so that sends him up to 6. We'll just go for the Ambush Viper now, because we'll draw a couple of cards with that. Gets a plus counter on it from the Great Henge as well. And we draw into another land. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm just gonna build a little army over here and make it difficult for people to swing into us. And, you know, we're playing into a board wipe, but we're gonna filter through cards here as well. Draw cards off the top for every creature we play. Alright, and there is Ronas, so we can play that as well. Vorinclex is very good. So we can get double the counters on people. We just need some kind of evasion at this point. Yeah, so we're not going to pay for the Myriad Landscape. Let's just go for Ronas here. That's a means of giving our creatures trample as well, which might be relevant. If we lose our Worm Coil Engine, then Ronas won't be able to swing in, so the Vorinclex will come in handy for that as well. Toski makes me glad that I've played a bunch of creatures, so that is going to make it even more difficult for our opponent to make blocks. So in that case, let's just play a forest, we'll ramp a little bit more with the Signet, and then we'll try and draw some attention towards Ronas, because I think the lifelink is going to be somewhat relevant on the Worm Coil Engine, so I think I'd rather that not get removed. If anyone's got swords or anything like that, I'd rather it went on the Ronas as opposed to the Worm Coil Engine. Right, so I think we're looking pretty good there. Let's pass the turn at that and see what happens. Scrying Sheet's being activated at the end of our turn. And this time, not getting a land, they get Winter's Rest, enchant a creature, tap the enchanted creature, and as long as you control another snow permanent, it doesn't untap. So that probably goes on one of our things, either Ronas or Worm Coil Engine. Alright, there is a Gift of Immortality. If you block my Stoneforge Mystic, I get another equipment shooter and can get Trample. So I think they're conspiring to get rid of someone here. It's probably me. Yeah, I don't know. Now, Blood in the Snow is destroy all creatures and return a creature or planeswalker with CMC X or less from graveyard to battlefield, where X is the number of snow spent to cast it. So that is likely what they're going for this turn, so as soon as we start to do something, we're likely to see a board wipe here, unfortunately. Winter's Rest went on to our Wormcoil engine as well, by the way. Now, Blizzard Brawl. So that gets rid of our commander. Theirs will be indestructible from the Blizzard Brawl. We can easily cast our Fynn again, so not really too worried about that. More worried about the fact that this is in hand now. Might have to try and take out Billy Kills next turn. Now Yorn going into combat with Shroud and Haste. And it goes in towards Go-Go. Untapping all the lands. So there it is, Blood in the Snow, destroy all creatures. So we still keep the Ronas at least, and we're going to have another Death Toucher to swing in with. Oh, and Yorn is indestructible from the fight card, forgot about that, so that stays in play. The Blood in the Snow brings back Auron Viper, and we get a Death Toucher and a Lifelinker into play, thanks to Wormcoil Engine, of course. We do have Praetor's Grasp in the deck, so because we've got so many weenies that we want to be swinging in with, I knew that we'd struggle with board wipes, so I did put the Praetor's Grasp in here so that we can refill our hand and just play everything straight back out. Concordant Crossroads is in here as well for such an occasion. Jorkadine coming back into play for Greedo. Then Gift of Immortality going on to the already indestructible Denetha. Mask of Memory being equipped on there as well. Then going in at Go-Go, I think that's a good idea while he shields down, although he can make some zombies at instant speed. He'll get 3 zombies per landfall if he activates this first. And that is what he's doing. So that is going to be 6 and 9 if he goes for Wayfarer's Bauble and the Myriad Landscape, which, yeah, this is what he's doing. 9 zombies after a board wipe. This is the problem with Field of the Dead Golos. So I imagine Go-Go just chumps with a zombie here to not take any damage because there's no trample yet, but Denetha will still gain some life at least, so it's still worth swinging in. Alright, and Go-Go not cracking the Wayfarer's Bauble, interestingly. Golos Tireless Pilgrim coming down yet again. And then a counter spell from Billy Kills. That's a really good way to crank up the command attacks on Golos. So I think that was 11 mana for Golos, which means it's going to be 13 to cast it again. And now cracking the Wayfarer's Bauble. So 3 more zombies for Go-Go. And now a Glacial Chasm coming into play. You have to sack a land, they sacrificed a forest, and their creatures can't attack now at least, but it prevents all damage that would be dealt to you. We lose the flip to Mana Crypt, and then this is Pilgrimage, bit late for that. Let's go for the Vorinclex first, and then we get a bunch of counters from the Great Henge, or we get twice as many counters at least. Alright, a Blightsteel Colossus and a Hornet Queen. Yeah, going to struggle without haste here, unfortunately. We definitely need our commander back in play, so we'll go for that. And I did wonder about putting Gaia's Cradle in here, but I wasn't sure how often we'd be able to keep creatures in play, so that's worth paying attention to here as well. I'm thinking Gaia's Cradle might actually be worth adding. Now a Blighted Woodland, another Death Toucher. I think it's Toski here. Now we've got Oakheim Adversary as well. If an opponent controls a green permanent, then it costs 2. Which we do have an opponent that does. I think we might be able to cast that because it's not the worst creature in the world. So Billy Kills has to block at least one of these in order to survive, or remove the Ronas or the Worm, one of those. I suppose he could just throw away the Auron Frostfang or whatever this is called, Auron Viper. But he's doing something in response instead. That is Aetherize, so returning them to our hand. Yeah, that's fine. Better than doing it during an alpha swing. So that means that we then go for this. We've still got plenty of cards in hand, so don't particularly need the Toski. But if we can get into something like the stuff that gives all of our creatures Death Touch, then that will be relevant. There is the Sylvan Library. Okay, let's get rid of all of this stuff in our hand. Assassin's Trophy. Not sure where that's going. That is targeting Glacial Chasm. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. So Glacial Chasm goes down so that Gogo can start taking life. That does make landfall, unfortunately, so that is that is 9 more zombies. If we can manage to get into Concordant Crossroads, we could one-shot Gogo with the Hornet Queen. Might be able to one-shot everyone with Hornet Queen, actually. So Kills just deciding to pass the turn over. He's only got 2 cards in hand, so that fills me with some hope. In response to his lands untapping, he continues to get some card advantage with Scrying Sheets. And it's another land for him. He got a snow-covered swamp at some point, and now it's a forest. Swiftfoot Boots is haste and hexproof for any creatures that might come in. And the boots are equipped to Denether. While Greedo was playing his turn there, Vorinclex has the Chasm never get a counter on it, which I didn't think of either, thanks to the Vorinclex. You never have to put a cumulative upkeep counter on it, because Vorinclex will put less counters on your opponent's stuff. Yeah, so that is one reason to blow that up over the Field of the Deads, or one of the Field of the Deads. Anyway, Denether coming in towards us. We've got an indestructible to block with, so I don't think they have trample or anything. Yep, it's all the same keywords they've had previously. So we'll just block with our indestructible Toski. So Greedo now jumping up to 107. Doesn't seem to be able to get damage through, but potentially keeping himself in the game with all that life at least. And Akroma's Vengeance. Destroy all artifacts, creatures and enchantments. That hurts. That hurts. That loses a lot of mana for us. Yeah, we lose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 mana there. We'll keep our Toski at least. I think it's probably just Hornet Queen next turn and then hope that we can keep it in play and swing in. Yeah, glad I didn't play the Hornet Queen into a board wipe at least. Now Kills going for something in response. That is Heroic Intervention. Glad to see the back of that as well. I was hoping to play the Hornet Queen next turn, maybe a couple more creatures as well, in the hope that we get into Concordant Crossroads and take a couple of players out, but yeah, the game's going to go on a little bit longer now, unfortunately. Now Wonder. I think I put that in my Golos Field of the Dead deck. Yeah, argument to be made for playing that and then wiping the board so that all the subsequent zombies you make all have flying. But yeah, anyway, deciding to put that into play, maybe to try and have that act as a deterrent towards swinging in towards him. I think there's no better time than now, actually, unless he's got a Harrow or something that he can make zombies with. There is Praetor's Council that I was talking about before. We don't have Swiftfoot Boots or Greaves for the Blightsteel Colossus, unfortunately. So I think we just go for... yeah, we just go for Hornet Queen here. So each of these creatures will deal effectively 2 points of poison if we can keep our commander in play. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8 and 10 that we can distribute. Do we just get another Death Toucher into play to make it really difficult for our opponents? I think we do instead of Sylvan Library, because we're not relying on Concordant Crossroads now anyway. So let's go for the Ronas. So with that, we are just hoping that we don't see another board wipe. We swing in towards... we don't want to see Wander in the bin, do we? That's indestructible, so I'm sorry, but Billy Kills. It has to be Billy Kills again, because he actually has a creature to lose. I just look like I'm constantly obsessed with Billy Kills this game, but he's been the only one worth attacking for me. That's a 3-3. Toski is a 3-3 as well, so maybe there's some means of making that indestructible here. Nope, just losing his commander. Managed to get Morite of the Frost, which can only copy a permanent you control. So he could get double the untaps on lands if that's of any use to him. Probably is with a Scrying Sheets. His turn now. Alright, threw it away so that he could get himself into Caldring, the Rhyme Staff. You can play a snow permanent from your graveyard this turn. If you do, it enters tapped. And now playing the Hailstorm Valkyrie from the bin, thanks to the staff, and Lightning Greaves goes onto there. Then making green mana with the Arkham's Astrolabe, and throwing down a Llanowar Elves. Then the Oran Viper going in towards Gogo. I wonder if that is more tactics to allow him to get some flyers into play against our Infect army. Although luckily for us, doesn't block with the Wonder anyway, so that might have been the plan. Is to give Billy Kills a card draw to try and get into an answer. Now over to Greedo's turn with his now 3 cards in hand and 107 life. Open the vaults, return all artifact and enchantment cards from all graveyards to the battlefield under their owner's control. That is relevant for us. Brings back some landfall stuff for Gogo in Wayfarer's Bauble and the Font of Fertility. I don't think they lost anything here previously thanks to the heroic intervention. Wild Growth can go onto the untapped forest. Greedo pretty much having to do that because he lost all of his artifacts, rocks, equipment, all that type of thing. Winter's Rest is going to go onto Denether, which is very good, I think. We get the Wormcoil engine back, which will come in with a couple of plus counters. We get our Wormcoil engine back as well, which will get a plus counter on it with the Great Henge, and we'll draw a couple of cards. Alright, there's Oran Frostfang, which is going to be relevant with cards like Toski. And we've got a land to make next turn as well. Swiftfoot Boots protecting the Denether, which won't untap anyway. And that's interesting. The Sword of Fire and Ice going onto the Denether gives it protection from blue, which makes the Winter's Rest fall off. Now drawing a card with Boros Cluestone. Fishing for a board wipe, I imagine. So the tapped Denether just been suited and booted with everything, pretty much. And it is 3 mana held up with 4 cards in hand. So Gogo making a bunch of zombies. And Font of Fertility will trigger there. I'm just hoping that he's not able to sacrifice the Wonder somehow. Making some more zombies with the Wayfarer's Bauble. Ulamog's Ceaseless Hunger, that might have some relevance. I mean, we've got enough Death Touchers. They can't take out all of our flyers. It might be that I go for Praetor's Council so that we can deal double the amount of infect damage from our commander with a Vorinclex. Yeah, I won't make any plans too soon, but Ulamog's Ceaseless Hunger can exile 2 permanents. They go after our Great Henge and the Wormcoil engine, so that takes a Death Toucher away from us, and a little bit of mana and card draw as well. All of that swinging in at us. We can't block with our Ronas now, thanks to losing the Wormcoil engine. So how many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 is 12 and 14. So yeah, let's just take the damage there. Going down to 20. So, can we protect our commander is the question. See if we get bolted first. We do get bolted, so go down to 17. And it's another land for us in Nature's Law. So let's go for our commander first, because we definitely need our commander in play. And that will draw us a card. It'd be good to see Swiftfoot Boots or Lightning Greaves, so that we can... Oh well, Heroic Intervention will do as well, so if someone tries to remove our commander in combat, we can protect it. So let's drop a forest, and we'll go for the Oran Frostfang to draw more cards, and it will give the Toski Death Touch to make it more of a threat. I think I'll buff the Toski with Ronas so that we can swing in with Ronas as well. Yeah, let's go for Oran Frostfang. I don't know if I can afford all that now I've said it. We draw a card there. Oh, Champion of Lambholt. Yeah, we're getting into all the stuff we need here. Just missing the haste, unfortunately. Yeah, so we'll go Ronas onto Toski. Literally just doing that so that we can swing in with the Ronas as well. And then maybe should have equipped up the Infiltration Lens on Toski as well, but I think we've got enough card draw here. So if 2 go in at... Yeah, we've got the Hornet Queen and an Insect going in at Billy Kills. That'll be 10. 2 and 4, yeah, that's 10. And then 2, 4 and 6 in at Gogo. Should be him done as well. And then we'll take in the 2 indestructibles in at Greedo. And that won't take Greedo out, but it'll have him pretty close to it. So Go-Go going for something in response straight away. That is a D-Spark onto the Toski. Don't really care about Toski, to be honest. We've got the Aura and Frostfang now, so that kind of replaces that. Yeah, I think we just allow that. We're not taking out Greedo this turn anyway, so we'll allow that for now. What I really don't want to do is go for Heroic Intervention to put Hexproof on all of our stuff in response to that, and then they remove something that we actually care about before the intervention resolves. Alright, and that's the thing we were looking for, so that might have been Go-Go's plan all along there. So I'm glad that I didn't fall for that bait. We go for Heroic Intervention in response. Might be that someone else has got something in response to this. This is the problem. Go-Go's got all this stuff in his hand because he hasn't had to do anything all game. That's the benefit of Field of the Dead. So we're not going to do anything apart from draw a bunch of cards this turn then. I think we really needed the Greaves and the Swiftfoot Boots, or the Swiftfoot Boots. Yeah, we've made too much of an enemy out of ourselves. I dare say they get us on the swing back here. But we had to risk it there because we're giving people too much time to get board wipes and stuff. So Go-Go saving a couple of players, including himself there, obviously. So we hit with Aura and Frostfang and draw a bunch of cards. Yeah, I think we just go Infiltration Lens onto the Ronas. And then we'll see if they all just swing in at us and take us out next turn. I think, yeah, Go-Go can probably just do it on his own, actually. We might survive until next turn. Go-Go, if we don't block, could do it on his own, but we'll probably just block the Ulamog with the Aura and Frostfang, and then they go wide on us with 12 damage as it stands now. Yeah, we might survive until next turn, who knows. Now the Rhyme Staff being activated again by Billy Kills and going for the Icebreaker Kraken, which we need to remember it goes on artifacts and creatures, and that will most likely go on our stuff, I dare say. Almost has to, doesn't it? Yep, that went on to us, so our artifacts and creatures don't untap next turn. So we want haste even more than we did previously. Seedball Muse to abuse these scrying sheets even more. And they get another land into hand. Okay, we're not being attacked by anything here, which bodes well for us potentially surviving against the Ulamog and stuff. Really depends on where Greedo goes. Because Greedo has had his eyes on Go-Go this whole time, as arguably he should, because it's Field of the Dead. So the damage just being dealt there. Then you may draw a card. Alright, so some mana being dumped into the Hailstone Valkyrie, and in response, Dispatch going on to the Ulamog. It doesn't have a whole lot of commander damage, unfortunately. 1 point of commander damage from Fynn. That adds credence to the idea that Greedo might be trying to help us stick around so that we can get rid of Go-Go for them. So there's definitely some 4D chess going on here. Jorkadine coming down again. And it will have haste this time. I'm not sure how big it's going to be, but that might actually be able to get rid of Go-Go then, because the Inquisitor's Flail is double damage. So if they can get this to 11 plus power and double the damage, then that's Go-Go down. Although Billy Kills is holding up priority here. He's got a Rimewood Falls from the scrying sheets at some point as well. Did a bunch of shenanigans at the end of the turn with Wilderness Reclamation and Seedball Muse. Or Seedball Muse triggers during Greedo's turn, doesn't it? So he'll do that again at the end of this turn. Anyway, Swiftfoot Boots goes on there. That is an 8/8, so we can buff that up to 9, 10, 11. So he can get rid of Go-Go here. Needs to make sure he's got enough mana to do all this, though. Equipping the Sword of Fire and Ice and the Dark Steel Plate. Now going for the Flail. Then he has to go for the Animist as well. And he does. Gogo's been trying his hand at a lot of politicking today, and yeah, he's trying to keep himself alive and saying that he'll swing in at me if we are left alive. Greedo doesn't need to worry about us because our creatures aren't going to untap next turn. I mean, he might. Yeah, he is going in at Gogo, as I assumed he would. And the Denetha is going in at Gogo as well. So that is the Field of the Dead player down first. Yeah, so very well played by Greedo there. That was a good line of play that I didn't necessarily see straight away. But Mask of Memory and Sword of Fire and Ice triggering now. Probably it's a good idea to get rid of our... Yeah, I was going to... An argument to be made, actually, for getting rid of a token instead, because we have shown our opponents that we can pull things out of the graveyard with Eternal Witness and stuff. Now, scrying sheets before the end of the turn, because they will untap that with the Seaborn Muse, like we said. Then going for the staff during Greedo's turn. But that is permanent, so yeah, I think he's just doing that for the fun of it. Winning the flip with Mana Crypt this time. And we get into a forest. Let's go Cavern of Souls. Billy Kills has shown us that he's got some counter magic. Kills does tend to run the odd bit of counter magic in all of his decks, because he's a spike name warrior with the Cavern of Souls to make it uncounterable. And then I'm going to go for, that's a warrior as well, but don't care about that being countered. I'd obviously rather it not be countered, but if it is, it's not the end of the world. We'll go Champion of Lamholt and draw a card. Putrefax. Is Putrefax going to be relevant? Not against a first striker. If it's unblockable, it might be. Alright, well, we'll get down the Tajaru Nightblade, or Blightblade, whatever it's called. 1-1 with Death Touch. That will draw us a card, and we'll put a plus counter on the Champion of Lamholt. Deadly Recluse, that's nice. So that makes it so that Champion of Lamholt is a 3-3, so they can only block there. Is this equal to power? Yeah, we need to get 3 power on that to make it so that 2 power creatures can't block. So we'll go Deadly Recluse. We can go for the Beast Within onto this as well, so that it's just one less thing to block with. And we can potentially get through with Putrefax then. Alright, we've got a lot of luck here. Just chaining into creatures. We'll go for the Wasteland Viper. And that leaves us with enough mana to go Beast Within and Putrefax. Alright, there's a Soul Ring. We can definitely get the Soul Ring into play. Then we'll go for the Beast Within onto the 8-8. That will be replaced with a 3-3 that can't block, thanks to Champion of Lamholt's 4 power. And there's a Fierce Guardianship. Alright, so at least we're seeing that before combat. So in that case, I think we just have to hold back. Let's get down at the Sylvan Library. Now going for the scrying sheets again. And they get another land, so hopefully they've just got a fistful of lands, 6 cards in hand. So we've at least got the Hasty Putrefax in our back pocket still. Enters the battlefield, search for a snow land. And +1 to its power for each other snow permanent you control. Don't really care unless it's got trample. Now seeing Marite of the Frost. Might just come down as a copy of this to keep our flyers tapped down. And that's exactly what they're doing. That is now a 10-10, because it comes in with plus counters on it. Just make sure that they targeted us with that. Yeah, targeting us. Then Haste and Shroud going on to the 17-4. Oh, and didn't realise Dark Depths is in play now as well. And Scrying Sheets being activated. They must have got Dark Depths from the Spirit of the Aldergard. Anyway, a 2-2 goes in towards Greedo, who is at 103 life. A 17-4 going in there as well. And the 8-8, we're not being attacked thanks to all the Death Touch. Denetha blocking the 17-4 because it has first strike, so doesn't matter how powerful it is in the attacks. It still goes down because of its 4 toughness. And Greedo only going down to 98 thanks to the lifelink. Then Wilderness Reclamation will untap the lands. And before the end of the turn, Scrying Sheet's been activated because Seaboard Muse is going to let them do it during Greedo's turn. I'm removing a Dark Depths counter or two. So that is now a ticking time bomb. Going to be a 2020 indestructible with flying. Solemn Simulacrum coming down from Greedo. Austere Command destroying all creatures. So, what have we got here? One of us is going down to commander damage. Jorkadine is still the 11-7 with indestructible and double power. Solemn Simulacrum will draw them a card. Not sure who they go after here. Probably us, I would say. I don't know. Obsidian Battle Axe. That is Trample, I think. Oh no, it's +2/+1 and haste, and it can go on a warrior when it enters. So just throwing that onto the Denether. The Denether sticks around, by the way, thanks to the Gift of Immortality, which will go back onto it at the end of the turn. Then they get some ramp into play in the form of Marble Diamond and a Signet. So it probably takes us out here, I would think. Nope, goes in at Billy Kills, and we are going to get knocked down to 10, so we've been desperate for haste all game, and now we're really desperate for it. We lose next turn if we don't get into it. So Billy Kills goes down to 22 commander, and we get shocked by the Sword of Fire and Ice. Noteworthy that the Mask of Memory didn't get equipped there, so might be that they're comfortable with what they've got in hand already. Could be Teferi's Protection, Swords, Path. We've seen Dispatch already. Yeah, they could still have spot removal, but there's not a whole lot we can do about that. See if we get bolted. We do not. Triumph of the Hordes, a turn too late, unfortunately. Let's see what we can find with the Sylvan Library. Evolution Sage. I've just gotten rid of something that might have helped us with that. Yeah, there's Nature's Law and all kinds of stuff. We could play a fetch. That would be 6. 7 with the Nature's Law. 8 with Nissa's Pilgrimage, is it called? Yeah, Nissa's Pilgrimage only gets 1 into play as well. Alright, so we don't need the Forest. We're going to lose next turn anyway, so we might as well keep Triumph of the Hordes and maybe we draw into something relevant. So we've got Praetor's Council. Evolution Sage. We can make a couple of lands here. That is 2. 3 and 4 with a fetch land. Could even do that. Well, we need Evolution Sage in play regardless. So let's just try with that. Draw into the land. Go for the Myriad Landscape here. Yep, and they could have done that in response to the Myriad Landscape, but they've allowed us to get a couple of poison counters on here, so they did have some spot removal. And there's nothing to say that they don't have another piece of spot removal. Okay, so nothing we can do about that. Okay, so just for the sake of Magic Online, I have selected, yeah, this player's flashing, and I've just selected this one. Yeah, so it's flashing to tell us to select it. That is such bad UI design, because that is not clear what we're doing. Yeah, so I have selected it there. So we'll say done on that one. And then again, it's flashing, so we select Greedo. Just clicked on it and it's still flashing. So does that mean we've done it? Okay, clicked on it again and it stopped flashing. Clicked on it again, it's flashing. Clicked on it again. Right, so I'm assuming if it's flashing, it means that we haven't selected them, because these two are flashing down the sides and we obviously haven't selected them because they're out of the game. But we didn't get the counter there when we should have done so. Alright, excellent. So Greedo stays at 4 infect damage because Magic Online. Alright, well, let's just play it out as if he's at 6. I don't really think there's anything we can do here, to be honest. We're sort of relying on the Evolution Sage and playing some lands and stuff. Putrefax doesn't really help us thanks to the first strike. And we can't get the Blightsteel Colossus into play. We've been controlled very nicely this game. Let's just throw down the Putrefacts for the fun of it. And that draws us into another land. Drawn a lot of those this game. Our draws haven't been too terrible towards the late game though. I'm actually impressed with how this deck performed, because I didn't have any high hopes for it, to be honest. So we'll just swing in with the Putrefact. Should really equip the Infiltration Lens on there, but yeah, he's got... everyone's got all the spot removal this game, so we were never doing anything anyway. That makes me feel better, but Putrefacts wasn't going to do anything against an Ether. And the land might have helped us with the Evolution Sage. Really missing, I've said it a million times, but Swiftfoot Boots and Greaves would have been really good this game. So we will give Denetha +2 and Trample, and we'll pass the turn at that. So if you've used the Evolution Sage or Proliferate in general on Magic Online, let me know how it works with this new UI. They change the UI system every 2 seconds and then don't fix things that actually need fixing, so you don't actually know how to play the game sometimes. Anyway, Jorkadine swings in at us. That will be commander damage in 1 shot. It'll take us down to below 0 as well. But yeah, I honestly didn't have high hopes for this deck. I thought that it would be really good in 1v1, but didn't really think it'd do much of anything in multiplayer. But I've been proven wrong there. We actually did pretty well, I think. We made a few enemies, and that's the problem with it. It's an aggro deck, so you need the haste and you need to get all the creatures in play. You need to keep drawing cards with things like Toskian or Frostfang, so that when the board gets wiped you can keep going. It might need a mana doubler in there so that you can do things like Praetor's Grasp and then replay a bunch of the things that you just dragged out of the bin. I thought that I wouldn't necessarily need that because we've got a lot of weenies and dorks and stuff like that in the deck, so yeah, it's just something that I'll have to play around with, and you can have a look at the deck list below and play around with it yourself if you want to do that. Big thank you to my patrons for playing with me today and for constantly supporting the channel. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.